This is a quick walkthrough of Connect Photon, room creation and customization for Pun 2. I've created a new Unity project and we need to get Pun 2 from the Unity Asset Store, download and import it. You're going to need an app ID, so you need to create an account on photonengine.com and then create a new app. I recommend Photon Pun. You can go with other options, but you need to Google that yourself to see what the difference is. Give it a name and a description and then create. Select the app ID, copy it and paste it into our Pun wizard. All done. Also set the dev region while you're developing the game. So for example, for Australia, the token is AU, and I will add a link to the tokens in the description. And now we need to make sure that TextMesh Pro is in the project. So from Unity registry, TextMesh Pro, it's here. And TextMesh Pro has a bug that can break UI elements if you import it. So you need to make sure that we go to Window TextMesh Pro and import TMP Essential Resources. And we also need the examples and extras because I'm using a font from this package. You don't have to have it, but it's going to change how the Connect Photon UI will look when you import the projects, because it will default to another font. And then we'll import the Connect Photon package. You will do it from the asset stores, but I have it locally on my computer. So I drag it into the project and import it. The Connect Photon folder holds two scenes. The Connect Photon listing scene is the example of listing rooms and players when you have entered a room. You have three scripts you need. The Connect Photon, which mainly handles override methods from Photon. So when something happens over the server, it will then also call a method in the Photon server listing script. So for example, if you fail to join a room, you will call this method, and the Photon server's listings will hold references to all the UI elements. And also when you're, for example, change the username, it will call the method save player name, and it will run a bunch of checks to see if the username is long enough, not too long, don't contain any forbidden characters and so on. The last script in this scene is Photon game script. It will hold the games that will appear in the game type dropdown. So we have one called Pong. It has a scene index of 1, so it needs to match the file build settings. So this scene Pong Photon needs to be on scene index 1. Connect Photon is a 2-team system, so 2 teams versing each other, and it needs to increment by 2. So min players should be 2, 4, 6, 8 and so on. And max players also needs to be divisible by 2. You have some start conditions if you want to check those out. When the room owner tries to start a game, it will run some checks to see if these conditions are actually met. Let's check out the Pong Photon scene. You need the spawn player script, and this will spawn a player for each of the players in the room. You need a game setup and you need a Photon view. The Photon view determines who owns a game object on the server, and everything that's spawned on the server needs a Photon view. So you have spawn points for team 1 and 2. So this Pong game is set up for 2 to 4 players. We need spawn points for all the players or the game will break. And this is the name of the player game object that will be spawned. So everything that spawned on the Photon server needs to be in a folder called resources. So the path is Pong. The avatar name, the game object that will be spawned is Pong paddle. Here it is. So when this scene loads, this method will run on every player once they've loaded the scene, add player. So how this works is the add player method will check for a custom property called T for team, and this was set when you picked team in the lobby, and then it will run this RPC method on the master client, so whoever owns the room, and it will return a team index. So the first player in team 1, for example, who runs this method will get index 0, the second one will get index 1, and so on. And then it will run a RPC on all players in the room. And if this player is not owned by the local player, then it will just return. But if it's owned by the local player, it will instantiate a player prefab. And the reason it's set up this way is because it's important that each player spawn their own game object, so they become the owner of the object.